Come along with us over the rainbow and see Croatia in all its colors. The aqua waters of the Adriatic, the chartreuse countryside of fertile farmland, the red clay rooftops of historic cities with the rows of yellow sunflowers reaching for the sky, orange trees glistening with dew, bushels of lavender scenting the air, white stone ruins dotting the landscape, and crystal waterfalls cascading down cliffsides and the bubblegum pink sunset sparkling in the sea. You'll discover that one of the sunniest spots in Europe, with 1,400 islands, is also one of the most playful. From the simple pleasures like having a coffee outdoors and wandering the open-air markets, to taking in the lively music scene, spending an afternoon wine tasting, playing in Plitvice National Park, meandering through medieval castles, basking on the beach at the Golden Cape, or kayaking through the fairy tale scenery. This is a country full of life and vigor, and full of scrumptious flavors. A main ingredient of the local cuisine is the unabashed joy of feasting. Zagreb, the city of museums with the most per capita of anywhere in Europe, overflowed with stories of past and a rich culture delightfully absorbed. Gape at the Stone Gate, originally built in the 13th century, and the landmark St. Mark's Church. Step back in time 1,700 years and Split at the site of the Roman Emperor's summer palace. Get a thrill from the mighty walls of Dubrovnik, viewed from above via cable car or from a sunset cruise aboard a magnificent ship. Stroll the streets of the fortress city and listen for the whispered 7th-century-old secrets of this UNESCO World Heritage Site, one of 10 in the country. Croatia is an enchanted land, a land inherited from generations of farmers, sailors, fishermen, shipbuilders, and winemakers. A land that will lift you up and carry your spirit skyward. Our custom trips are drawn from a menu of enticing experiences with something interesting for everyone. This is Michael Gelber, CEO of IWorld Travel, inviting you to experience another memories beyond destination. IWorld Travel. Expect more. Do more.
Well, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to our leadership webinar series featuring today Croatia. You're in for a treat. As I'm watching that video, it just excites me to have the opportunity to be able to go there and really experience a beautiful land. You are lucky today, and we have two fantastic speakers. One is Alida Baljevec, who has come to us this year, who was born in Italy but raised in Croatia as a Croatian all the way through her heart and soul, and has put together some programs not only for Croatia but also around the world. And she'll be speaking about Croatia today. And then we're also privileged to have Ina Roden with us, the North American Director for the Croatian National Tourism Board. And anyways, welcome. We've been doing these series for several weeks. We appreciate the participation and the education that all of you are able to gain from this. And we hope you've been staying safe and educated as we look towards the day after, which is hopefully sooner than later. And before I introduce you to Ina Roden from the Croatian Tourism Board, I just want to share with you the safe travels that we have identified that we're working with. And we stay on this daily, and we are going to be putting this on our website, so it's an ongoing opportunity for you to understand what countries are open and what sub-regions within countries are open. So this is just a quick glimpse of this, but most importantly, if you'll see up in Europe, Croatia is welcoming Americans into their country. Next slide. And with that, I would like to do is introduce you to Ina Roden. As I mentioned, Ina is with the North American Director of Croatian National Tourist Board. Just a fantastic human being and someone who is well versed in Croatia. And really, the Tourist Board has done a phenomenal job over the last 6 years to really grow tourism to Croatia. Croatia is one of the, as you'll see in the presentation in 2018, it was the most Googled destination in the world, and rightfully so, because as you saw from the video and as you will learn from today, it is a beautiful destination. With that, let me introduce you to Ina Roden. Ina, it is you. Unmute and
Hi, everybody. I don't know whether I should say good morning or good afternoon, because I believe we have attendees from all over the States. Michael, thank you for having me as a guest speaker. I'm really honored. And also, this is a great opportunity to congratulate you and your team members on 53 years of successful business. This is the time when only the most competent and the most resilient companies survive and thrive. And thank you for including Croatia in your portfolio, in your program. And having Alida on your team proves that you know how to do the job. I've been working with Alida for many years, and I can assure you that you're in good hands, that she's really one of the best local experts. As a tourist board, as you mentioned, we've been promoting Croatia since Croatia has become independent back in 1991. And this year, in spite of pandemics, was really a pretty successful year because we kept our borders open. That was a very difficult decision because all other countries decided not to do so. And since we recorded one of the lowest numbers of COVID-19 cases, began to ease restrictions within the country since April 27th. Shortly after that, we decided to also open our country to the EU nations, and shortly after that to non-EU nations, including America. And you already mentioned that we are open to Americans, and we think that we made the right decision, because everybody who comes to Croatia from a non-EU country has to undergo a mandatory quarantine that can be avoided, of course, if you get tested prior to your travel to Croatia and have a negative COVID test not older than 48 hours. Let me just... as you mentioned, Croatia received the WTTC Safe Travel Stamp and got identified as a destination which has adopted the global standardized health and hygiene protocols. And the safety and health of our citizens and guests remain our top priority. We are continuously following the latest news and recommendations by the Croatia Institute of Health to reduce health risks. We also follow social distancing rules, a minimum 1.5 meters or 5 feet. We are shifting life outdoors as much as possible. We wear face masks in public transport vehicles and indoor areas like restaurants, gyms, bars, etc. And we do limit large social gatherings. Regarding traveling to Croatia, it's easy as long as you have this negative COVID test, or you can also get tested once you arrive in Croatia and then quarantine until you get the test results. Otherwise, you just have to fill in a travel form that is available via Enter Croatia site. But I believe that Alida and Michael and their team can help you with that. And also you need a confirmation of accommodation booking or a tour booking, and that's all. Once you have all that ready, you can travel to Croatia. Being open, we had like very successful tourist season this summer season, especially in July and August. And as per our tourist stats, we registered 6.8 million tourist arrivals and 47.6 million tourist overnights, which is about 41% of last year's arrivals and 53% of last year's overnights, so not bad at all. For the US market, as of September 1st, Americans traveling to Croatia attributed to 34,191 arrivals, and the overnight stays are at 164,634, or about 10% of the last year tourist visitation. And the most visited regions were Istria, a beautiful peninsula that we like to call Croatian Tuscany, then Kvarner region that is bordering with Istria, Zadar County, Split County, and Šibenik County. But well, this is all something that you will learn more with Alida, because she will tell you more about Croatian geography and the most visited, the most beautiful regions. Also, we had a great luck to host few celebrities this summer. Magic Johnson visited Croatia, as well as Beyonce and Jay-Z, Rod Stewart, and I believe some others who, well, didn't posted anything on their Instagram and other social media, so we don't know that they visited Croatia. And the last thing that I'd like to share with you is, I believe that you are all familiar with Virtuoso, that is a travel consortia. Well, according to their Wander list, Croatia came in the top 20 most dreamed about destinations in the world. Well, that would be all from me. I will stay with you until the end of this webinar and be here for any questions you might have. And now I believe that Alida can take it over and tell you a story about my beautiful country, Croatia. Thank you.
Ina, thank you very much. Thank you very much for participating and sharing that information. Appreciate you hanging out till the end as well, as I'm sure we'll have some questions specific to Croatia in terms of traveling there. Next up is Alida Paljic. Listen, Alida is a very dear friend, has become a very dear friend in a very short amount of time. Alida comes with a tremendous amount of passion and love, not only for the travel industry, but of course for Croatia. We were lucky enough to have her join our team, and my father would have loved her, no doubt about it. She comes with passion. She was past president of Atlas for everything northbound, the North American market out into Croatia, and has come up with programs and opportunities and itineraries that are just very unique and very different, that can only really be designed and put together by someone who loves the country and knows the country and understands it like Alida does. So without any further delay, let me introduce you to Alida Paljic. Alida, break away.
Hello everyone. Thank you so much, Michael, for this wonderful introduction. And I would also like to thank you, Ina, for being a part of this webinar and for supporting us in our efforts to really educate our travel advisor partners about our beautiful country, Croatia. So I will try to be as fast as I can. I could probably speak for days and days about Croatia. So I prepared this presentation for you today with a lot of heart. I still missed some spots because obviously, you know, when you know a country that intimately, it's really hard to put it and kind of have it in a 30 minutes presentation. But shall you have any questions while I'm talking, or any specific interests about Croatia, please feel free to send me an email or call me direct. Shane, can you please share my email and my number there in the chat so everybody can have it? And we can dive into the presentation. You already know about me that I was not born in Croatia. I was born in Italy, but I grew up in Croatia. My parents are both Croatian, and you will see in the presentation a couple of places where I lived. So let's begin. Welcome to Croatia. We can start. Most Googled term in 2018 on the second place was this one that you can see right there. Where is Croatia? And as you can see, it's right there in the middle of Europe, in the heart of Europe, on the Adriatic, beautiful Adriatic Sea that is part of the Mediterranean Sea. And there a bigger picture, you can see the borders with Slovenia, Hungary, Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and down on the south, Montenegro. And also we share the sea border with our neighbors, Italy. We can go on, Shane. Thank you. A little bit of a general information. We have a little bit over 4 million in population. We have two different climates. One is in the continental parts. It's a continental European moderate climate, which is winters and pretty hot summers. And then we have the Mediterranean, very mild and beautiful, enjoyable climate in the whole Adriatic coast. The territory is almost 22,000 square miles, and we have a very long and beautiful coastline with many islands, almost 4,000 miles of coastline. We have a lot of islands, as you can see, almost 1,300 islands, and also some smaller ones, the islets and the reefs. And with that, we are the second largest Mediterranean archipelago right after Greece. The capital city is Zagreb. Our official language is Croatian, but I think it's very important to say that English is very much widely spoken. Children learn it in school since first grade. All our TV shows, the movies, mostly Hollywood movies and sitcoms and shows, we watch all of that in English with titles. So you kind of learn and perfect your English throughout your life only by watching TV. And then, of course, the country is very tourism oriented, so it is very important. Children in school, they mostly learn at least one, if not 2 and 3 foreign languages, mostly Italian, German, French, and so on. The currency is Croatian kuna, and you do need to have some cash on hand when you are in Croatia, even though it's very easy to get it because there are ATMs all over the place. The currency has this official exchange rate, which is $1 US. It's approximately 6.5 Croatian kuna. This, of course, fluctuates a little bit, but it's always around that number. The time zone is Central European time, which is plus 6 hours compared to the west coast of, the east coast of the US. And it is 9 hours from the west coast of the US. Next slide, please. We are very well connected. We have in the country about 10 airports. 3 of them are really, really good connected to different European hubs, which we can easily use for flights from the US. The best connected country to Croatia has always been Germany. So if you see the first 2 airports that we are mentioning here, Frankfurt and Munich, great hubs to fly from the US using United in a combination with Lufthansa, always a good combination. And they have daily flights to all the 3 major Croatian airports, which is Zagreb, the capital, Split, and Dubrovnik. And then you have London with literally multiple flights a day with British Airways and Croatia Airlines, and a lot of low-cost carriers like EasyJet and Wizz Air and similars. And then Paris, also a very good hub with Air France, a combination you can try always to find with Delta. Daily flights to Zagreb and Dubrovnik. And then you have Amsterdam with KLM, again with Delta. You can go through Rome with Croatia Airlines and Alitalia. 5 days a week connection to Split, and through Split it can go also to Zagreb. And then last but not least, because normally this one is the most affordable one from, you know, a lot of American hubs, to fly through Istanbul to Zagreb, normally with Turkish Airlines, of course, it gets pretty, they have good prices. And it's 4 days right now, 4 days a week. It used to be every day. We hope it will be again. Next slide, please. And there's the question, why would somebody go to Croatia? Of course, to me, that's very obvious. It's the most beautiful country in the world. But there are quite a few facts why would somebody go to Croatia. It's a fact that we have the highest number of protected areas of any single country in Europe, which include the 8 stunning national parks and a lot of nature preserves and nature parks. A lovely, pristine Adriatic Sea, one of the cleanest, one of the most transparent seas in the world. Beautiful islands and coastline to discover. We also have pretty good weather. We have about 300 sunny days per year. And of course, some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, and most definitely some of the most beautiful beaches in the Mediterranean. So Croatia is very attractive to anyone who wants to go swimming, snorkeling, diving, sailing, bungee jumping, cycling, zip lining, kayaking, rafting, hiking, you name it, we got it. Next, please. Of course, also very, very important for anyone who appreciates history. We have 10 UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Croatia, and we have 17 UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage. So just to name a few, we have the Euphrasian Basilica in Poreč, we have the historic city of Trogir, we have the historical complex of the Diocletian Palace in Split, the whole old city Dubrovnik, and so on and so on. There is 10 different UNESCO World Protected Sites. And then talking about the intangible cultural heritage, this is various types of dancing, singing, even some toy building from wood. All of these traditions are still being kept and they're still alive. And this is why they are part of UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage, and we have several of those that we include in our small luxury tour departures, and of course we can also do that for many of your FIT clients that seek to go to Croatia on their own. And of course, besides that, a lot of towns and villages that are full of interesting history to discover, and all the traditions that we already spoke about. So we can continue on the next slide, please. This is just a few pictures we will run through. This is some of the UNESCO World Heritage Site. This is the, in Poreč, the Basilica. This is Trogir near Split. This is the cathedral in Šibenik, also UNESCO World Heritage Site. And of course, one of my favorite reasons why I love to go to Croatia, and definitely something that I always recommend to everyone, is our wonderful cuisine. We have over 25 products that are protected by the European Union as designation of origin and protected geographical indication. We have many award-winning olive oils and wines in Croatia. Also the location of Istria, we will show it to you a little bit later in the presentation. It's very famous for the white truffles. Obviously, with the wonderful sea, we have wonderful seafood. In the eastern part of Croatia and some other regions, very good dry meat production, cheeses on some of the islands and some other regions, and very, very special traditional sweets. I could have a webinar about sweets only. You can go to the next one, please. Okay, so for the purpose of this webinar and of this presentation, I divided my beautiful country into 5 different regions. I did this using the logic of the similarities that are available within one specific part of Croatia, whether it is how the scenery looks, what the activities are there, how the cuisine looks in a certain different parts of Croatia. So we will start with the central part, which is also home to our capital city. If we can go to the next one, please, Shane. Thank you. So there you can see this will be our first region that we will explore today on our virtual itinerary through Croatia. And we will start with the capital city of Zagreb. Often it is forgotten in the itinerary and people kind of skip it, but it's a shame because it's a wonderful city. It has around 800,000 in population officially. With the students and a lot of people that come to work in Zagreb but never change their address officially, we always say that Zagreb is a 1 million in population, approximately. We call it our Croatian metropolis. Let's go through the next few slides a bit faster. This is, we have the old part of the city is divided into the lower and upper town, where we will find all the historical landmarks. Then we have a newer part of the city, which we call Novi Zagreb, or in translation is New Zagreb, which is a modern part of the city with a lot of galleries, the modern art museum, and a lot of apartment buildings, some venues, parks, and it's a also nice area of the city. The old town has this very European ambience, and you know, many people will say about Zagreb that it is like little Vienna. It has a beautiful balance of modern and older buildings. If we can proceed, please, on the next slide. You can see here the modern building, which is a music academy. And going forward, you will see our beautiful National Theater in Zagreb, which really is like Vienna, and it was an Austrian architect who projected this lovely building. I used to work literally 2 minutes from there. It's a very lively city. You will always find a lot of people on the streets. It is very popular. Let's say on Saturday morning, everybody in Zagreb will go out and just have a stroll in the center, go and see the open markets, buy some homemade products, and just sit down and enjoy coffee with friends. This is a thing that anyone in Zagreb would do. In the holiday season is especially nice. Zagreb is one of the best Christmas market spots that you can find in Europe. It was also voted by the people online. They always do this huge contest. And Zagreb was voted as the best Christmas market in Europe, not once, but 3 times in recent years. So it is really a fairy tale. They put on all of these lights, all of the people come out, there is music everywhere, there is dancing Santas, there is this huge area with an open air sliding where you can go and enjoy with your kids. It's really a fairy tale. And then the New Year's Eve in Zagreb is also very special, huge party. Right after the New Year's, and normally in the first day of January, Zagreb also hosts a famous ski event that happens in this mountain is right above Zagreb. It's called the Mount Sljeme, which is also a very nice viewpoint. You can go up and have a nice day in the nature. There is a lot of accommodation options in Zagreb. We are featuring this one specifically that you can see on the pictures is Hotel Esplanade, which we are using for some of our luxury small group departures. What is interesting about this hotel is that it was built in 1925 to provide accommodation for the people that were traveling on the Orient Express, the famous train, Orient Express, that operated from Paris to Istanbul. So it's not just a hotel, it's also a historical monument. So lovely, lovely place. Let's go to the next one, please. Just another few pictures of our beautiful capital city. And from here, from Zagreb, it's a wonderful opportunity to have at least a day tour to the area that is within, let's say, 2 hours at max from Zagreb of driving. This is the region of Zagorje, and all the way up to the very beautiful city of Varaždin. This is a region that traditionally they were always producing wine, but in the past, let's say 20 years, they really step up their game. They're making beautiful, really good wines. It's an area of green hills with picturesque little towns, cute little restaurants with homemade meals. Then there is this little town of Krapina, which is famous for the Neanderthal Museum, which I will say a little bit more in one of the next slides. Also in this area, we have a lot of castles. One of the most famous is the Trakošćan Castle, which is already close to Varaždin. And we have the most popular Catholic pilgrimage site here in this region, which is Marija Bistrica. It is famous for a statue of a Madonna that a couple of times things happen and there was a big fire and nothing happened to the statue. So there is a whole story about that. Also, thermal spas here are very popular, and there are some that are very nice that have some healing properties in the water, and it's a nice stop to do if you do a day tour to Zagorje and Varaždin, to stay in the afternoon, spend a few hours in the spas. This is the Trakošćan Castle. Let's go to the next. Here we have the town of Krapina that I mentioned, and our next slide will show a picture of the Krapina Neanderthal Museum. I just want to tell you that this is really the largest, the site where the largest number of Neanderthal fossil bones was found in the whole Central Europe. And it's really interesting. It kind of studies the chronological evolution of humans. So it's also a very nice stop to do, especially if you're traveling with the kids. It's very interesting. Let's go on to the next one. So now we will travel to the eastern parts of Croatia. This is an area where probably the fewer numbers of tourists visit in Croatia. And it's gorgeous. It's flat. It's not hills like I mentioned in Zagorje. It's a wine country. There are a lot of very high quality winemakers here. The people are very, very warm and very happy. They care about good hospitality. It's in their blood. So if you want to have a good time wine tasting and eating some amazing food, then Slavonia and Baranja in the eastern part of Croatia is the spot. You will not find many itineraries for any type of group tours that will go in this area. So we have one of the 5 that we have in total for Croatia that goes into this area. We stay in Osijek, which is the beautiful Art Nouveau style buildings, a city. It's with a beautiful cathedral. We also visit Vukovar, which was one of the most devastated cities in the 90s war after the fallout of Yugoslavia. So this is an area that is a hidden gem. There is a beautiful nature park, Kopački, which is it's close to the confluence of two rivers, Drava and the Danube River, and it's very close to the border with Serbia. So this was a dangerous area back in the 90s when we had the war. But it's really, really gorgeous to see for any nature lovers, food lovers, bird watchers here in the Kopački. And of course, wine lovers. That's why I go to Slavonia. Let's go to the next one, please. And we travel to the most mountainous part of Croatia. I call it here Highland Croatia. This region is the most popular for the Plitvice Lakes National Park. I'm pretty sure that you heard about this wonderful place. It is a UNESCO World Nature Site. It is consistent of 16 lakes that are connected with waterfalls. It is really unique. I do believe that there isn't a similar place in the world. It is not allowed to swim, but, pardon me, boat rides are available. And with the boat, we go and see the hidden waterfalls, but you also can spend a day just walking around and hiking and enjoying the nature. I always say, if the clients have time, if you have time to spend a night in Plitvice Lakes, it's a good decision, because to wake up in this place and go for a walk in the morning before all the other tourists arrive, that's something really unique. There is a couple of accommodations that are available here in the park. Should you have any interest for that, just let me know. We will arrange the best of the best. Let's go to the next, please. And the area around the Plitvice Lakes, it's what we call Lika and Gorski Kotar. It is a very peaceful place. You can find nice little restaurants that make homemade cooked meals. It is very, very rural. It's really great for nature lovers. The people who live here live a very simple life. There are interesting caves in the region to explore. There are a little bit further south, there are rivers that are really good for rafting and canoeing, of course, hiking. And right here you can see my husband and myself enjoying a horseback ride in Highland Croatia. This was one of my personal highlights last year back home. If we can go to the next, please. This is one of the caves, well, the entrance to one of the caves. It's a Baracheva cave, really close to Plitvice Lakes. A wonderful experience to go spend a few hours with the family. This was, for my son, probably the highlight of our trip to Croatia. They do a whole show on how the cave was created, who lived there in terms of animals. And you can see here there is a skeleton of a wild bear from I don't know how many hundreds of years ago. Let's go to the next one, please. And now it's time to jump to the northern coast to visit Istria and Kvarner. If you see this blue, the largest blue part that you can see on the map, this is the peninsula that we mentioned already. This is Istria. And Ina said we often call it the Croatian Tuscany. It is rolling hills. It is all about the food and interesting places. So some of the towns that are cities that are located in Istria and Kvarner, the most famous one, are Pula with its Roman amphitheater, Opatija, which is literally the cradle of the Croatian tourism, the first town that hosted guests. Porec, which is home to our UNESCO World Heritage Site Basilica, and then Rijeka, the third largest city of Croatia, very important port. So if we talk about Istria, we already said it is a paradise for foodies. They have wonderful wines. The olive oils, the award-winning olive oils are from here. The white truffles, the seafood, the cheese, they have a very big influence from Italy. You can see it in the cuisine, you can see it in the dialect. They literally speak some weird language that is a mixture of Croatian and Italian. And they have some of the traditions that are Italian. And overall, all the coastal towns, Porec, Rovinj, Pula, are beautiful places to spend a few days. All of them have events, very rich nightlife. And of course, the activities, because of all of this that I said, the activities in Istria are very interesting as well. The truffle hunting, the horse riding, a lot of lovely cooking classes, and then another wonderful national park, which is Brijuni National Park, which is a group of islands right in front of Istria. Of course, a lot of variety, a lot of options for accommodations in terms of hotels, a lot of nice high-class five-star hotels, which is my favorite in the Istria region is the villas. There are basically sometimes 200 or 300 years old stone houses that have been remodeled with swimming pools and all modern amenities that we can rent out for your clients to spend a few days in the area. And then a little bit further down to the Kvarner region with Rijeka, Opatija, and the islands. As I said, Rijeka is the third largest city of Croatia, and it also was named as the European City of Culture for this year, 2020. Opatija, the cradle of Croatian tourism, and yes, it is a French Riviera ambience in Opatija. A lot of very nice hotels, a lot of very nice little bakeries with very good ice cream and very good sweets. And then the hidden gems, the Kvarner Islands, that maybe you never heard about it. It's Krk, Cres, Lošinj, and Rab. I could probably do a webinar for each island by itself. Beautiful, beautiful islands to visit. Krk is connected with a bridge to the mainland. And then there is a ferry to Cres, and then Cres and Lošinj are connected again. So it's not so easy to arrange and to go visit. Let's please move on to the next one. And the last part of Croatia that I will present today, it's probably the one that is the most famous one, and everybody has already heard about it. The cities of Zadar, Šibenik, Split, and Dubrovnik, and of course the islands of Hvar, Brač, Korčula, and Mljet, the most southern parts of Croatia. So let's dive into it, please, with the next slide. You can see here the pictures of the city of Split and the city of Dubrovnik. Both are home to UNESCO World Heritage Sites. This is Zadar, which is let's say the northernmost city that belongs to Dalmatia, the southern parts of Croatia. It has very nice Roman and Venetian ruins dating back to the 9th century, but it really, what made this city famous is more modern, is this, what you can see on this picture right there. It's the sea organ, which was done by a Croatian architect, Nikola Bašić, and he built this huge instrument right there where you can see the stairs going into the sea with a special set of pipes where the Adriatic Sea is interacting with it and pushing air into it, so it's making this harmonious sounds, and we say that the sea is playing music. Also very close to Zadar, there is beautiful island of Pag, also connected with the mainland with a bridge, and the national park Kornati Islands, which is also a group of smaller uninhabited islands. And I will just tell you one thing about it. A legend says that when God was creating the earth, he was left with some stones in his hand. So he just threw them into the Adriatic Sea. Those are the Kornati Islands, and God decided it is perfect as it is. So it's a wonderful place to go, and we have it included in our family program. It's really, really amazing. Let's go to the next, please. And we arrived to the city of Šibenik, also home to a UNESCO site with the cathedral, a beautiful town, a historical center with a lively atmosphere. I always say this is the ideal place for families, and I will tell you why, because the location is ideal to be able to stay in the same hotel for longer periods and do daily excursion. From here, they can go to the Plitvice Lakes, they can go to Zadar, they can go to the Kornati Islands that I just mentioned, they can go to the Krka National Park that I stated here, as it is really, really close to Šibenik, and you have the picture here where you can see the little island in the middle of the lake. This is part of the Krka National Park, which also has waterfalls, and unlike Plitvice Lakes, here you can still swim. Let's go to the next one, please. And we arrive to Split. Split, I'm sure you heard of it. It's 1700-year-old city. The whole a historical center built in and around the Diocletian Palace is part of the UNESCO World Heritage. Of course, we touch Split with 3 of our tours to Croatia. Let's go please to the next one. You can see here a little part of the old historical center. You can see the old walls and the pillars, and you can see a little more recent buildings that were built leaning on it. So it's a very unique thing. And inside of those narrow streets, there are so many nice, cute little restaurants. It has a beautiful museums. It has a very cool place for kids, the Adriatic Aquarium. Split is also a great hub to do day tours to different islands. There is a bunch of boats and speedboats that it's easy to book to go and see a few islands in one day, but is also a hub for the ferries and for the fast ferries that take to many of the Dalmatian islands. Let's please go to the next, which is my next topic. The closest island to Split, it's the island of Brač. I'm pretty sure that you saw sometime the wonderful picture of the Golden Cape. And this is the most photographed beach in Croatia. And it's called the Golden Cape, not because it has golden sand or pebbles, but because this place was always very rich in fish. So it was named Golden Cape by the fishermen, local fishermen. Let's go on to the next one, please. And welcome to my home. This is the island where I grew up, and this is the island where my parents still live. It's the island of Hvar. Hvar town is very popular for the world's jet set, a place where everybody will come with their yachts. It's a great town, but I always say to see the Hvar town and not to see the rest of the island. It's a shame, because all the other little towns have been less affected by tourism and therefore more authentic and with more opportunities to interact with the locals. So we have included it in some of our itineraries that are immersion Dalmatia itineraries. I will tell you a little bit later on. Let's go please to the next, Shane. The island of Vis, a hidden gem that was closed for visitors until 1996 because we had a naval base of the ex-Yugoslavia here, so no visitors were allowed here. And that's why it's interesting, because a lot of things are unspoiled by tourism. It's a very authentic, it's a beautiful ambience, really nice to visit. Next one, please. And another hidden gem, even further out at sea, we have the island of Lastovo, really authentic, untouched Mediterranean island. Next, please. Korčula, I'm sure you heard of Korčula because this is the home of Marco Polo, the famous Venetian explorer. Gorgeous old town. They say they have a fish pattern, fishbone patterns of the streets that were made so narrow so that they can have shade in the hot summers and also to protect the inhabitants from the strong winds that blow here in the winter months. Let's go to the next one, please. And Mljet, also a total gem. This is a national park, very quiet, beautiful waters. And what's very special, it is that it has a salty lake within the national park. So if you want to take a retreat, you know, just to recuperate, energize, this is the place to go and stay in peace for a couple of days. Let's go to the next, please. Just to run through also a region that is often skipped, especially for the travelers from the US market, which is the Makarska Riviera. If you ask me, this is the best beaches in Croatia. That's why I say it's ideal for families, because you have wonderful pebbly beaches which are very good for smaller children. The towns of Makarska, Brela, Podgora, and Tučepi. Next one, please. Next slide, please. Here you can see one of the beaches, and also there are a lot of private villas around here, and of course a lot of nice hotels. We can go on, please. And the pearl of the Adriatic. I decided that I was not going to talk a lot about Dubrovnik for the mere reason that if you know anything about Croatia and if you know anything of Croatia, you know of Dubrovnik. Dubrovnik has always been the #1 destination in Croatia. It was named the Pearl of the Adriatic. It's entirely, the old city is part of UNESCO World Heritage Site. It posed as King's Landing in the famous Game of Thrones series. It is famous for its walls, for the wonderful view up from the Surge Mountain where you can go with a cable car, and also the famous pictures of sunset going in the Adriatic Sea are taken from some of the night cruises that you can take from Dubrovnik. It has a rich nightlife, of course, a lot of nice restaurants, and also one thing that is really cool when you stay in Dubrovnik for more than 3 or 4 days, because then you have time to take a trip. It is very close. You can do it in a day tour to go to Montenegro from Dubrovnik, and also to Bosnia and Herzegovina to see, let's say, the famous Mostar with a lovely bridge. We can go on to the next one. Another lovely picture from the Surge Mountain, where you can see also the cable car that takes you up there. Also important to say, almost forgot, Dubrovnik also has some really nice pebbly beaches to enjoy. And I think that with that, we more or less wrap up the present destination presentation. And as we say in Croatia, that sugar comes last, right? Like you always have dessert after you have the meal. So our sugar today is, I want to tell you that we have 5 different tours for Croatia. And we are doing this with a lot of heart. And we really want to show Croatia to these travelers in the best possible way and for them to experience the best things in Croatia. And one of the things that is maybe a little bit unusual is to go to Croatia in the winter time. It is really, really special. All the towns have the Christmas markets up and running. So it gets very lively, and you really don't spend time with tourists. It's the locals that are there. So we have this lovely program for 14 passengers that we will operate with a 49-seater, 49 luxury seater coach. We start the program from Dubrovnik, and it's important to say they have a lot of free time, okay? So they have included interesting visits, but they also have a lot of free time. This is why our LSGD programs are special. From Dubrovnik, we move on to Split, and from Split, we go to the Plitvice Lakes for a day visit, and then to Zagreb. And Zagreb, if you remember from the beginning, has a wonderful Christmas market and also a huge party for the New Year's Eve. So we have the New Year's Eve here in Zagreb. The last 2 days of this program are in Slovenia. So besides seeing Croatia, they also get to see Ljubljana and Bled, which are some of the highlights of Slovenia, our neighboring country. And just to announce, in the first days of October, we will have a webinar about Slovenia. So please keep watching our newsletters and notifications. And now with the last slide, I just want to give you a very quick overview of what we are doing for Croatia with our luxury small group departures in 2021. So we have 3 tours. If you see the first 3 ones, IWorld 001, 002, and 003. That are tours for themselves that have 4 different departure dates in the spring and in the fall. All of these 3 tours can be combined, right? So the first one starts with Zagreb. It goes in the eastern parts of Croatia that we mentioned that are really off the beaten path, that nobody really goes there of tourists. And we visit Osijek and Vukovar, and we have all those lovely foods and wines, and we have some really special moments there. And then from there, they go to Serbia to see the capital Belgrade and Novi Sad. And from there, they go on to Bosnia and Herzegovina, to Sarajevo and to Mostar, and they end up in Dubrovnik. Then the next tour, our IWorld 002, starts from Dubrovnik on the same day that the first tour ends, right? So if they want to get to Croatia for 2 weeks, they can just book 2 tours connected, and we will give this at a special price, at a special deal. So the second one, the IWorld 002, is literally my favorite. We call it Life and Tradition of Southern Dalmatia. This is the most immersion tour that we have for Croatia. They stay long in Dubrovnik. They have a day tour to Montenegro, and then they take a fast ferry to Hvar. They sail through the islands and they arrive in Hvar. They have a few days in Hvar with not only Hvar town, they also go to the off the beaten path towns on the island, and they end up in Split. The third one, of course, the soul of Croatia and Slovenia, ends in Split. Starts in Split on the day that IWorld 002 finishes. So from here, from Split, they go to Plitvice Lakes with an overnight there. As I mentioned, that is really special to wake up in that place. And then they go up, if you remember when we presented the Kvarner and Istria region with Rijeka and Rovinj. And from there, they go on to Slovenia, the wonderful cave of Postojna. I remind you, October 6th, if I'm not mistaken, we will talk about Slovenia in detail. And this one ends in Ljubljana. Last, and definitely not least, one of my favorites, 2 departure dates in the summertime that are ideal for families traveling with kids. If you have clients in the family niche, this is for them. We call this program Chasing Waterfalls and Dolphins. If you remember Šibenik, a city that I said that it's ideal for families, it has lovely pebbly beaches and it's ideal to do daily exploration. From there, they go to the Kornati Islands, which is a national park. They go to the Plitvice Lakes, which is a national park. They go to the Krka waterfalls, and then they proceed on to Split. They have 1 day in Split. They visit the aquarium, which is really cool for kids. And then they go on the island of Hvar, and they stay a few days in Hvar. This is a 10 nights program. They have a day tour to the Golden Cape with a little wooden boat that goes from the island of Hvar. That alone is an amazing experience, and like 99% of the times I did that, we saw dolphins, because that specific canal between the islands of Hvar and Brač is really rich in dolphins. And of course, this tour ends with the Pearl of the Adriatic, with Dubrovnik, with all the daily exploration. And I know that I have extended this quite a bit. Thank you for sticking with me. I'm all done. If you have any questions, I will be very happy to answer them. Thank you so much for listening.
Alita, thank you. That was, wow, that was really extensive, really informative. Too bad we can't just jump into the screen and be right there at that time. I loved it. And listen, I think one of the telltale signs of compelling conversation is how many participants have continued to stay on, and we appreciate that. I noticed that we have about 19 questions. We've had a lot of chat. So Shane, let's just get right to those. If you want to throw the questions out, and then we can decide, either myself or Alita or Ina will be able to answer.
Sounds great. I'm going to start with, what is the turnaround time to get test results when tested in Croatia for COVID-19? I'm going to start with some safety questions.
I can answer to that. So it's usually no longer than 24 hours.
Excellent.
Okay, so I think this might be a similar question. If test is taken upon arrival, how long does it take to get the results? So 24 hours, you say?
Yes, that's correct.
Perfect. Okay. If a client is arriving, for example, on the 18th of September, the test has to be taken no earlier than the 16th?
Yeah.
Okay.
48 hours, yeah.
48 hours previous, okay. Just some clarification here.
Well, I think what happens is they want to go in there and take the test on the 16th. They'll get the results within 24 hours. Ina, did you say they had to be tested within 48 hours negative before leaving?
That's right. No, actually before landing to Croatia. When they get to Croatia, the test shouldn't be older than 48 hours. And it is possible, because we did receive some of the US guests this summer, and they did reach out to me, and they managed to get the test results within like 24 hours. So even people in New York.
Excellent.
Perfect. All right. What is the best time of year to travel to Croatia?
Well, I can get that. As I said, I wouldn't say there is the best time, right? Because every season in Croatia is different. It depends on your clients. If your clients want to focus on the swimming and the beach plus exploring the coastline, then of course that would be late spring, summer, and early fall. But if your clients are more into cultural experiences, into wine tasting, sightseeing, and all of those other activities, then it's perfectly fine to go earlier in the spring or later in the fall. And also, the winter is, of course, a season when they will not go swimming, obviously, but it is probably the most beautiful time to go and explore with the fewer numbers of tourists, with the lowest prices, and you can have Croatia to yourself, literally.
When do the Christmas markets open?
It's normally the November 30th, the first week of December. It's always open. Normally they open in the last days of November.
What is the weather like in November and December?
It depends where you are in Croatia. November and December in, let's say, Zagreb and the central parts of the country, as well as highland Croatia, of course, will be colder, but let's say not windy, while in Dalmatia and the islands, it will be sunny. Mostly, you can have some rainy days, but it is mostly sunny and a little bit windy. And depending on which wind is active, let's say, it can get colder or warmer. But most of the days, even in the middle of the winter in Dalmatia and southern parts of Croatia, is sunny.
Fantastic. A quick question back about the swimming. Why are there areas that you can't swim?
Well, it's only in the Plitvice Lakes. So the Plitvice Lakes, it's a national park and protected area, which is, it is not allowed to swim because there are some natural barriers between the lakes that form the lakes and the waterfalls that are very sensitive and would be ruined with people swimming there. So that is the only place where you cannot swim.
Gotcha. Do we have Spanish-speaking guides for Croatia?
Yes, absolutely. No problem at all. The best.
And what is the language barrier like for independent travelers? How difficult is it?
I wouldn't say that there is a barrier. So how we do FITs, you will always have local assistance. We have the best of the best ground operators that are 24/7 available for any of our clients traveling to Croatia. And if they need anything, if they cannot, do something by themselves, they can always reach out to them. It's like having a concierge 24 hours a day available for them. But in general, all the people that are involved in the tourism sector, whether they are working in a cafe or a bakery or selling entrance tickets, or all of those people will speak at least the basic English. So I've never heard of anyone having a language barrier in Croatia, truthfully.
Fantastic. Can you share the best way to fly to Croatia? Can you go into Venice to take a boat over? And can you connect to any city to travel from the States?
Yes. So in regards to Venice, it is only about 2 hours to have a transfer from Venice to the area of Istria and Kvarner. So that is always a good option. And also, if we do an FIT that includes Slovenia and Croatia, then from Venice, it's really easy to go and explore Slovenia first and then go on to Zagreb. So Venice is always a good hub and we can work with that. In the summer months, but just in the summer months, there are touristic boats that go from Istria to Venice as a day trip. So this is an option that we can utilize if the clients want to have a boat transfer from Venice to Croatia. It is doable, yes.
And then as a follow-up,
I'm sorry, I forgot to say about the flights. So we used to have a direct flight, which unfortunately COVID-19 killed for us, right? So it was with American Airlines from Philadelphia directly into Dubrovnik. But unfortunately, the whole season was canceled this year. I don't have to explain why.
Including 2021, Alida, unfortunately.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe, Ina, if you can give us some insight there, please.
So American Airlines decided to reduce a large number of their international flights, well, both international and domestic flights, and one of the flights is the one from Philly to Dubrovnik. Unfortunately, this year and the next year after that, it should be fine, because hopefully the things go back to normal and they can resume seasonal nonstop service from Philly to Dubrovnik in 2022.
Well, let's hope for it. I can tell you that there are some really good options when I fly home. Let me tell you that way. When I fly home, the first thing that I look is at United with Lufthansa, because they connect. Normally, it's just about an hour or 2 hours of a layover in Frankfurt. And of course, Lufthansa sometimes has higher prices. So we flew a couple of times with Turkish Airlines here from Miami through Istanbul. It's only about an hour and a half of layover in Istanbul. It's a good connection, but it's about 2.5 hours longer than if you fly through some of the European hubs, right? Ina, you just came from Croatia. You flew through Amsterdam, if I remember correctly, right?
That's correct. But also, I'd like to mention for well, people who live in New York or around New York, there is a really good flight with Air Serbia. So they fly directly from New York to Belgrade, and they have great connections with the capital city of Zagreb and few other cities in Croatia, such as Split, Pula. Well, Pula, they didn't operate this year, but usually they do, Dubrovnik and Zadar.
Yes, that's great information. Thank you. I totally forgot about Air Serbia. Yes, they fly directly from Belgrade to New York.
That's right.
Is it twice a week?
Actually, in summer, 5 times a week,
Okay.
and then throughout winter, 3 times a week.
That's really good. Anyways, we can assist you with the air as well. If you have any requests for Croatia, we can always assist you with the air as well. Just reach out to us. Any more questions, Shane?
Yeah, so the next question is, how easy is it to get from island to island?
Okay, that's an interesting one. So Split is, let's say, the main hub. The islands are not, let's say, fantastically connected. But of course, if you have me working on it, we will get it done. There is a lot of options with local boats that are like excursion boats that go, let's say, from the island of Hvar, they go to the island of Brač. So we can use those, which is also an authentic experience. But there is also some fast ferries and catamarans that basically connect Split and Dubrovnik, but they stop on different islands. So if the clients don't have the car, right? If there is a car involved, then we have to organize it differently. So, but if it's just the clients transferring themselves from one island to the other, we can find more different ways to do that depending on their wishes or what they want to do and what they want to experience. So I would say that most of the islands are connected between themselves, and it just depends on how we organize everything.
Fantastic. And the next question would be, if you were, it's a two-part, 2 people asking very similar questions. If you were to create the perfect itinerary to see all of Croatia, how many days would it be? And then in a similar, how many days would you recommend for a trip to Croatia to really experience the luxuries and unique places for an individual, a couple, or group?
Okay, so to see all of Croatia, it would be too much probably, because I don't want to say 20 days, but I would say that that's the minimum to literally go through all of the regions that I talked about today. Then it would have to be 3 weeks, right? Let's say an average program to Croatia is normally around 10 days. And for the first comers, for the first goers to Croatia, I like to start the program around Zagreb and then drive them down to the coast, whether it is the northern or the southern coast, obviously stopping in the Plitvice Lakes National Park, and kind of going through at least 1 or 2 islands and ending in Dubrovnik. I would say that would be around, it is doable in 10 days.
All right, so if I can chime in here, hey Shane, can you show the slide with the Croatia LSGD products?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
here's what I would say, and I'm not the expert of Croatia, but I can tell you, when I heard Alita go through this program, and then when she came up with the concept of allowing 1 to connect to 2 to connect to 3, these are all the best of the best experiences in each of these. So if somebody was really set on getting completely immersed, if you will, in Croatia, and really understanding, really connecting with the locals, whether it's in Dubrovnik or Zagreb or the Split or Hvar or Island, I would tell you 24 nights. But because I think each one of these are so special, and really where the overlap is from an outsider looking in would be something from Dubrovnik, and then maybe a Split from 1 to 2. So maybe Dan, I agree with you. I think you could take this series right here, connect them together, and have the best experience ever in Croatia.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for that, Michael.
I listened to you.
Question about vineyards here. Are there vineyards to visit to not only purchase but learn about the wines?
Absolutely. I will take you. I'm joking, but that's like my favorite thing. There is a lot of really beautiful and really cool wineries where not only you will have the tasting, but you will also see how the wine is produced and learn about the process. Depending on the time of the year when you're going, we can also include, let's say, the grape harvest, where you would go and with the locals go literally to take part in the harvest and then collect the grapes and take them to the production process and witness it yourself how it is done, right? So it's a very special experience. And then something that we will do on our luxury small group departures, on the one that is an immersion to Dubrovnik, Hvar and Split, in Hvar for one particular departure that is in the fall. We will try to be, we will have the clients join into this Kanota festival, which is a dinner that is done by locals to make a party for the last day of harvest. So once the harvest is done, to celebrate it, they do this special dinner. So that's something that no tourists have done before, probably in Croatia.
If I may add, the same goes for olive oil and
Yes.
olive picking. It's a wonderful
Absolutely.
experience as well.
Speaking of the LSGDs, what is the minimum amount of people that we will run an LSGD departure with?
Well, I'll go ahead and take that. So listen, everything is done with as if it's a guaranteed departure for us. We don't have the minimums that we need as a company with our partners are very loose because of the relationships and the depth of the contracts we have. So we don't feel that there's any risk. If we go to publish a program, we feel 99% confident, obviously with the exception of what took place this year, that those are going to take place. We've been able to price it at such a point that really we're in the, to be honest with you, all we need is 4 to 6 from our end, but it's not something that even if we had 4 or 6, that program would still go on. But we're finding from our studies and our focus groups that getting 10 to 12 is going to be probably the sweet spot of what we're going to have, but we'll go up to 14.
Quick question just about currency. Do any places in Croatia accept euros?
Actually, no, for now. But as I said, it is really not a problem. You have exchange offices all over the place that will take dollars or euros with an exchange rate. Or the best way is just to go ahead and use the ATMs. And I will tell you specifically when you have the client and you have the FIT and working with me, I will tell you exactly which ones to use, which ones are the best to use with the best exchange rate and the most affordable ones, right? And the safest ones.
Yeah, Alita, I think you mentioned also when we do our final docs and the itinerary, on the last pages, we'll have those things highlighted for them. I
Yes.
think that was something we discussed. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We will have all of those information for them. But also, you know, I wanted to tell you, maybe I kind of just mentioned the cash. Yes, in Croatia, you need to have the cash to pay for the coffee that you will drink in the coffee shop or to pay for a pastry or something in the bakery. But you can use credit cards in all the stores, in all the bigger stores, in all the bigger souvenirs shops, in the better restaurants as well. But it's always good to have some cash on hand in Croatia for the smaller purchases. For the bigger ones, most of the times you will be able to use a credit card, even though, as I said, even if you want to buy something and they're not accepting a credit card, the ATM is probably just about maybe 5 or 10 steps away. This is how many ATMs we have all over the place because of tourism.
Gotcha. So a couple people are interested in going to Croatia. Do we have any information on FAMs upcoming or agent rates?
So listen, we're very heavy on FAM, and really we call them educational trips. We had almost 10 last year, and then of course 2020 came along and we had just about as many that we had to reconfigure. So going into 2021, we'll have a schedule of educational trips around for Croatia, including many of the other destinations that we cover. I think our goal for 2021 is 12 to 15 educational tours. And listen, it's what our partners want, it's what the tourism boards want, and it's what we want. We want to be able to provide you an opportunity to go and experience it firsthand, and you're the best voice for a destination that you guys have your boots on the ground. So we're 100% behind it. Again, remember, we view ourselves as a marketing company that happens to be in the tourism industry. And so anything we can do to educate and facilitate the opportunity for you to grow your business and to provide more information to your clients, that's what we're going to do and support.
Fantastic. Next question is, I know you offer a lot of Jewish heritage tours. Are there options for Jewish heritage tours in Croatia?
So absolutely, yes. Croatia doesn't really have much and doesn't really have a lot of Jewish heritage. There is some interesting sites. So yes, absolutely. If your clients want to see, they wouldn't go to Croatia only for that. So if they want to go to Croatia in general and then highlight some of the Jewish sites that are there, absolutely. We would love to do that. One thing that is interesting about Jewish heritage is our neighboring country, Bosnia and Herzegovina and Sarajevo. That is something that we can incorporate and do together. Absolutely, it would be a very interesting itinerary. And actually, we already worked on something similar in the very first month that I joined IWorld of Travel.
And because also, correct me if I'm wrong, but because there was such a heavy Roman influence, you know, there's a connection to the Roman influence and the Jewish heritage and the connection through all that series. So yeah, there's always dots that are connected to the historical experience.
Absolutely, yes.
We saw a lot of pictures of castles. Are there castles that you can actually visit and tour?
Yes, absolutely. Most of them, the one that we featured, the Trakošćan Castle, is available to visit inside and out, and it is it's a lovely day. A few hours to spend there. It's a really nice experience.
And let me just throw in there too, because of our relationship with our partners, and of course because of Alita's experience and depth of connections there, you know, there are ones that are not typically available for tourism. because of our connections, because of our relationships. Those are the kind of things that we can look into creating as a memories beyond moment. I think there was also a castle I saw on one of the islands, and I'm not even going to try to say the name of it, where you could actually stay there for the night. Is that correct, Lita? Did I understand that correctly?
I'm not sure which one you're referring to, but we have several options that we could, in very old houses that are almost like castles in the Dalmatia area. I'm not sure which one you were referring to. I apologize.
It was that one picture with only the castle on a very small island. I thought we had gone through working on this. Maybe I misunderstood, but there was an option if someone wanted to stay there for the evening, that could be arranged. But I could have maybe misunderstood that.
No, there is another thing that is interesting in some of the Croatian islands, which are not castles. Maybe this is what we were talking about. It is the lighthouses. A lot of the Croatian lighthouses were remodeled in a way where you can rent them out. It's really something different. You're able to isolate yourself for a couple of days, and they bring you food on boats. So maybe this is what you were thinking about.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah. What a special option to have available, right?
Yes.
To be able to stay on a lighthouse that was retrofitted, to be able to accommodate and have the food brought to you on the island. Yes.
It's amazing. It's an amazing experience. Absolutely.
Awesome. Here's a question about getting around Croatia. How easy is it to get around Croatia without a car rental? And in a similar vein, would you recommend a self-drive for a first-time visitor?
So long story short, I think that the best way to see Croatia is always with the use of a local guide. So what we arrange normally is transfers with a English-speaking driver that at certain, it depends on how many people there is, but normally we chose the guides that can also be a little bit of a tour manager for 2 or 3, for a party of 2 or 3. Obviously for our small groups, luxury small groups, we, as I mentioned, we have a local tour manager throughout. And let me take this opportunity to tell you that the tour managers that we use are my friends. I used to be a tour manager, and we will choose for you the best of the best. And it's not just like, everywhere in the world, we know that the people that we are working with, we meet with them, we train them. But for Croatia, these are my friends. These are the people that I grew up with, and the people that I worked with, and some of them were my mentors. So we would be placing your clients in the best possible hands to show them around Croatia. As for a self-drive, yes, of course, we can arrange that, and then they just meet with the guides at certain places and do the sightseeing with a local licensed guide. This is the way that we recommend.
Will you be sending the tour packages that we can share with our clients?
Absolutely. I will let Michael respond to this one.
So listen, go ahead. That's funny. Go ahead and you can just go ahead and email Alita. You can see your email contact there. And we have one sheet, not only for the individual LSGD products, but we're putting something together for the holiday series for Croatia, as Alita was talking about over the New Year's, the 8 nights then, as well as Cuba and Costa Rica. And then we'll also share all the other LSGD products. So just go ahead and email Alita, and we'll be able to get that out to you directly, as well as with some pricing.
Absolutely.
I'm just dropping the email in one more time in the chat.
Okay. And definitely I invite you guys to join us on Thursday at the same time and same place. We will be presenting our luxury small group departures worldwide. So you probably have the invite. If you joined this webinar, it was sent together in the same email. So just go back there, click on it, and sign up so you can hear how we build it together, what we include, and where our focus is and why our luxury small group departures are so different than anything else on the market. Did we have any more questions, Shane?
Someone asked if they will be receiving the replay in an email, and I wanted to just touch base, like, yes, we will be sending a follow-up with the video on demand, so you can replay it whenever you'd like, and also we'll have it here on our site as well, coming up on our videos section. I just wanted to just kind of drive around the site with you real quick, and I could show you. So we'll have our destination marketing videos, but if you go to our destination education, that will be where you can find all of the leadership webinars for all of our destinations, as well as our topics for advisor-specific information. And then I'll pull up the LSGD so we can get a little bit of an example for what that looks like too. But I believe that is all the questions that I had. So if anyone has any final questions, we can grab them here in the last moment. But besides that, I'll let you guys close that out.
Okay, well, listen, I think that was a very thorough, involved, and cohesive presentation. Alita, thank you again. Ina, thank you for your participation. And of course, all the participants and many of you that were here from the beginning are still on. Thank you. If there's anything we can do to support, your marketing efforts, your reach, your communication, your education, just don't hesitate to reach out to us. That is what we're here for. And we look forward to, as I said, when we started this presentation, to getting to the day after. Stay safe and stay positive. I know it's been a tough year for everybody, but listen, this will pass. We've had to go through a lot of things very similar, not quite like this, but there is that light at the end of the tunnel. As my father said, I don't think it's a trend.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Have a good afternoon, good day. Good evening.
Bye.
Bye.